Good evening, Info Warriors. I'm Jon Bowne, and this is what's on tonight, this Friday, March 30th, 2012 edition of the Infowars Nightly News.
Tonight on Infowars Nightly News, the U.S. Army reprimands soldier for supporting Ron Paul. Reserve Corporal Jesse Thorson says their punishment was, quote, absolutely worth it. Are thousands of other active duty military people going to be punished for simply voicing their First Amendment rights? Then we focus on global governance and how the United Nations is involved in public subversion of the U.S. Constitution. Jon Bowne will detail the criminality of the UN and the Agenda 21 takeover of our lives. Up next, we'll look at the secrets behind Ridley Scott's new film, Prometheus. Then we'll look at the birth of modern social engineering in the 20th century and the manufacturing of consent. Darren McBreen reports on the father of propaganda, Edward Bernays. And finally, Jon Bowne interviews Rosa Koire, author of Behind the Green Mask, as Infowars moves to expose one of the greatest threats to our sovereignty, Agenda 21. Strap yourselves in. You've found it, the front lines of the Info War. Get ready for this Friday, March 30th, 2012 transmission. We take you now to the Infowars.com studios in Austin, Texas.
All that and more, but first tonight, yes, that Majestic heroin is at it again. The UK Queen has been accused of drug trafficking, according to Press TV. Britain's financial regulator has fined the British Queen's bank for money laundering failures, as a French presidential candidate has said part of the Queen's fortune comes from drug trafficking. On the 21st of March, Jacques Cheminade, an independent presidential candidate running in the French election, said a part of the fortune of the Queen of England comes from drug trafficking. And many of you may know that the Queen is the largest landowner on the face of the earth. She actually owns 6,600 million acres of land. This makes her the richest individual on earth. However, there's no way to easily value her real estate. There's no current market in the land of entire countries. So Queen Scarface is at it again. And of course, what was it, the end of last year, we had the report of a dead body on her land. And we've been speaking to folks in Canada about the missing children that disappeared with the Queen and the Prince one nice summer day. Moving on, the United States is now #1 in highest corporate taxes. No, it's not an April Fool's joke. When Japan officially slashes its rate to 36.8% Sunday, America will be tops at 39.2%. President Obama has proposed a rate of 28%, but Republicans charge that it comes from $350 billion in new offsetting taxes. And of course, the failure of the Obama administration knows no bounds. It's just a pleasure to watch. Just kidding. Now moving back to the mysterious booms in Clintonville. A sound was recorded by audio engineer Brian Sullivan. The first night, no luck, he said, but then Sullivan had some success on Saturday, 1 minute before 4 a.m. It's short, but it sounds like a boom. Here it is.
This is Clintonville recording, 3:59, March 24. There it was. This is Clintonville recording.
This is Clintonville recording. Yeah, I bet you could hear a pin drop in that town. Don't worry, it's just earthquakes. They're not building a giant facility underground. But when they don't get that facility built underground, you'll hear the beautiful sound of high-speed rail. Moving on, Army official reprimands soldier who spoke at the Ron Paul rally. Reserve Corporal Jesse Thorson says punishment absolutely worth it. The uniformed soldier who endorsed Ron Paul during a rally in Iowa in January has been officially reprimanded by the U.S. Army. After being cut short during a CNN interview on January 3rd, Reserve Corporal Jesse Thorson, who has served 2 tours in Afghanistan and was due to head back for a third, was invited onto the stage by Paul himself to address Paul's cheering supporters. And it's such a good thing that they keep the mouths of those folks that are out there supporting the Founding Fathers' ideas and the freedom of our country and the last-ditch effort to get our country back is completely shut down. Speaking of which, they shut down Ron Paul's rally, his monumental rally, which drew a record number of 5,200 people in Wisconsin. The media has completely blacked it out. Okay, the Ron Paul rally in Wisconsin that drew 5,200 was, of course, blacked out. And if you bring the document cam over here, we can kind of go through a procession of Ron Paul's horrible treatment by the mainstream media. You may remember we reported that the only remaining MSN reporter covering Ron Paul was pulled, and that was back in March 14th, 2012. And, of course, there he is in front of a huge number of good, honest, hardworking, concerned Americans, not conspiracy theorists, but actual people that have brain cells. And here we go, Anderson Cooper responding to Ron Paul's media blackout. And we go back to October 21st, 2011, from the State column. Anderson Cooper responds to Ron Paul's media blackout comments. We've got Patrick C. Dew reporting how the media was purposefully ignoring Ron Paul. Here's an Aaron Dykes article about the Politico's Simon Says how Ron Paul's victory in the Iowa caucuses may help Romney. Ron Paul doesn't even exist, from the Personal Liberty Digest. And Rachel Maddow talking about how Ron Paul's delegate sneak attacks strategy undermined and the voter will. And Sarah Palin warning back in January about the mainstream media ignoring Ron Paul.